National press with Florence Vimino. Hello there.
Hi, Catherine.
First off, a lot of focus on tensions in Israel, a lot of different incidents in a lot of different parts of the country.
That's right. Let's start by looking at the front page of L'Orient Le Jour, which sums up the situation quite well. It's a Lebanese paper, and they're talking about the fact that from Tel Aviv to the West Bank, there's a spiral of hate. And this photo you can see here is Palestinians demonstrating against the fatal shooting of a 22-year-old Kadir al-Din Hamdan. Now, he was shot dead by police early Saturday after he allegedly attacked those police officers with a knife. Now, the Washington Post focuses on the fact that this incident was caught on film, and it's not unusual for these kind of incidences to be caught on film, but this recording has really lit a fuse in Israel. It's sparked both praise and condemnation. According to the Washington Post, it's really raising bigger questions, for instance, the question of police conduct, but also who really is Israeli and who is not, because this article points out that the young man, well, he's an Israeli citizen. He was an Israeli citizen who also happened to be a Muslim and an Arab. And this article tells us that Arabs account for more than 20% of the population, and they're guaranteed full rights, but often they feel like they're treated like second-class citizens, and that's exactly what this incident has put in the spotlight.
And there's some focus as well on the two victims who died yesterday in Tel Aviv and in the West Bank.
That's right. Those two victims of those two separate knife attacks getting a lot of attention, as you can imagine, in the Israeli press. I put out this article from the Jerusalem Post, which is focusing on how the government is reacting to this. You can see the photo there of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at an emergency meeting, and you can see that title. He ordered defense chiefs to push forward plans to demolish the houses of these well, what they call terrorists, in the hope of deterring future attacks. And this article points out one thing which I thought was interesting. It says that on social media, Palestinians declared the knife intifada has begun. In this world, intifada has come up a lot in the press today. Let's take a look at an article in The Independent. It asks the question, is a new intifada rising in Israel? So intifada is this word that means an uprising within Palestinians. There have been two in history so far. This would be the third, says The Independent. And there are fears that even though for now these are isolated attacks, lone wolf incidences, as they say, there are fears that there could be a more organized uprising. But it must be pointed out, a lot of papers say that actually Palestinians are too divided for a third intifada.
Lots of divisions, like you say. Okay, let's turn our attention to the East. The APEC meeting in Beijing, a huge economic forum, 21 heads of state attending. Very symbolic meeting, though, getting a lot of attention in the press. A bit of an awkward handshake between the Japanese and Chinese leaders.
That's right. It was their first meeting in over 2 years. So as you can imagine, it's getting a lot of attention.
You'd think they might greet each other with a big hug after 2 years.
Well, they're calling, a lot of papers are saying it was a chilly handshake.
Definitely.
It could actually, but it's an important one because it could start a thaw in relations. You can see this article here in the Japan Times. Now, relations between Japan and China have been very tense in recent years, especially over these disputed islands in the South China Sea. A lot of commentators said that, they could be close to war, etc. So a lot of papers are focusing on this important meeting. China Daily here is saying that everybody concerned with a standoff between Japan and China can heave a sigh of relief, but don't get too excited. As you can see, this is the editorial in China Daily. It says that Japan still has work to do. According to this editorial, it was a very symbolic meeting, but it was just symbolic. And this article calls for more concrete action from Japan.
One handshake doesn't change everything, of course. There was also a lovely classic family photo of all the delegates taken yesterday.
Absolutely. That photo is on the front page of China Daily. Let's take a look. You can see them there. It's a very impressive show of diplomacy there because, as I was saying, a lot of those countries aren't the best of friends right now, but here are their leaders smiling and wearing the same clothes. This is one interesting aspect of the APEC meetings. As you can see here, it says diplomacy joins forces with fashion. Now, leaders traditionally wear similar clothes at these APEC meetings, and the Washington Post has pulled together a great little photo gallery of those meetings. You can see, for instance, on the left there, you can see Obama, Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin at this recent meeting, and then on the right you can see John Kerry and Vladimir Putin shaking hands.
Some pulling it off a bit better than others, I think.
That's right. And I really recommend checking out this photo gallery. The captions are amazing. For instance, for that photo on the right there of John Kerry and Vladimir Putin, it wonders, are they wild and crazy? No. It's just two leaders.
Oh dear, bless them. They're having a go though, aren't they, at the fashion side of things. Thanks very much, Flo Villamino, looking through the international press for us. Time for a short break here on Live from Paris. Coming up, all the latest on our top news stories. And 30 years on, it's not Feed the World, but Heal Ebola. Bob Geldof back with a new Band-Aid charity single involving the likes of One Direction, Chris Martin, Ed Sheeran, and this time around, yes, some French stars too.